outrage shooting death of an 18-year-old woman that was caught on surveillance video, we have learned that suspect has turned himself into police. Investigators announced these details just moments ago. Take a listen.
At approximately 2 o'clock this morning, the defendant, through his attorney, turned himself in. 28-year-old David Desper turned himself in to the West Goshen Police and the Chester County Detectives. He's placed under arrest for first-degree murder, third-degree murder, possession of the instrument of crime, recklessly endangering other people.
Police say 28-year-old David Desper shot Bianca Roberson after both tried to merge into the same lane. Her car rolled down an embankment. She was killed instantly. Desper's faded red pickup truck was also recovered this morning.
Peace. My name is Allah Forever. I'm the owner and creator of BabyBeautiful.co, which is an online store selling baby clothes. What you just heard was a tragic story of an 18-year-old black female who got into a road rage dispute with someone who was a Caucasian male, 28 years old. As a result of that, she lost her life. This individual got out of his car and shot her and killed her. This was a tragic incident that happened. Unfortunately, the young lady had no idea that something like this was going to happen. I wanted to start off with that because oftentimes when you hear about situations like this, it shows how valuable life is. Even at the age of 18 years old, they said she had just graduated 2 weeks ago from high school and was going to go to college in the next 2 weeks. She lost her life as a result of what they call road rage, whatever that is. But this is something that happens every day in the streets, where people that are driving become frustrated, aggravated, and irritated. But it's not often that they get outside of their car and kill someone else in their car as a result of them being irritated, frustrated, and aggravated. Well, in this particular situation that happened, and this young black female who was 18 years old lost her life because of something like that. So I wanted to start off with that before I go into my presentation today, because it doesn't matter how young or how old you are. Sometimes things like this happen and you lose your life as a result of an incident that you had no idea was going to take place, or that you was going to lose your life as a result of it. So I want to say that I know that her family is going through a whole lot as a result of that. So I want to give condolences to her family for the tragic incident that happened. Now I want to start off with, last week I spoke about adding more items onto the website, babybeautiful.co. Since then, I've added more items on there, which is more along the lines of female items. So go to the website and look at the new addition that I made to the website. And you can see other items that was added on. Now, each week I said that I was going to go into a particular article to start off with that directly deals with what this YouTube channel is all about, saving the babies, because they are the greatest. So I have an article for today that I want to read before I go into further details in my presentation. Now I have several articles, but this particular article I want to read that deals directly with something that I'm going to go into. So I want to go to do that article right now. Now the title of the article is as reads, New Moms Reveal the Truth About Postpartum Sex. Starting up sex again after the birth of a child can be a fright issue for new parents. Now a new study finds that much of what drives women's desires in the postpartum period are not physical factors, but psychological ones. In many cases, social factors such as spousal support and the baby's sleeping habits play a larger role in new moms' interest in sex than physical factors like birth trauma, the research found. Women also begin feeling desire and engaging in sex sooner than the 6-week waiting period that most doctors recommend. One interesting thing is that women perform oral sex on their partners and engage in masturbation earlier than they receive oral sex or engage in intercourse, said study researcher San Anders, a behavioral endocrinologist at the University of Michigan. People have frequently assumed that women just aren't interested in sexuality early in the postpartum period, and that the sexual activity they do engage in is for the sake of their partners. But the rates of masturbation suggest that many women are feeling sexual. The new baby period is a time of little sleep and healing from childbirth, two factors not conducive to a rambunctious sex life. But studies have shown that new parenthood doesn't cool the sex drive for long. Research suggests that desire returns to pre-pregnancy levels within about 3 to 4 weeks, though most couples don't resume vaginal intercourse until week 7 or 8. Previous studies have mostly focused on the physical trauma of labor and delivery, as well as post-baby hormonal factors to explain the postpartum sex drive. But there's more to sex than biology. Van Anders told Live Science she and her colleagues wanted to take a look at social factors too. The researchers recruited 304 women who had given birth in the last 7 years to reflect on their postpartum experiences in a series of online questionnaires. All of the women had a romantic partner during the first 3 months of their baby's life. They answered questions about their sexual desires, their sexual activities, their partner's supportiveness, their birth experience, and other factors like breastfeeding, aphrodisiacs, and sex killers. By the end of the first 3 months, 85% of the women had started having intercourse again. 65% had engaged in oral sex, and 61% had masturbated. In general, Van Anders said women start performing oral sex and masturbating first, with receptive oral sex and penile vaginal intercourse coming later. The findings were detailed online June 6 in the Journal of Sexual Medicine. In terms of timing, the most important factors for a woman were her perception of her partner's sexual needs and desires, suggesting that some women start sexual activity again more for their partner's benefit than their own. A woman's level of sexual support and her experience in childbirth, both physical and psychological, also influenced how soon she started engaging in sexual activities again. Fatigue, stress, body image, breastfeeding, and vaginal trauma were not associated with how quickly women started having sex again. However, the biggest drive of high sexual desire for women were their feelings of intimacy and closeness to their partners, the researchers found. Next came their partner's interest in sex, followed by their own number of sexual feelings and the amount of support from their partner. Top sex drive killers were fatigue, the baby's sleeping habit, and a lack of time. Contrary to beliefs that a man seeing his partner in the throes of labor is a turnoff, the study found that women whose partners were in the delivery room reported stronger sexual desires post-birth. Van Anders and her colleagues are now collecting data on men's experiences in the first months of their children's lives. But it may be that the support during labor boosts intimacy in couples, she said. Now, the article goes on to explain the sexual desires of mothers after birth and the effect that that has on their partners or their husbands. It also went into explaining the kind of stress and lack of sleep and psychological effects that the mother goes through after giving birth and not having sexual intercourse for a period of time with a husband or a partner. Now, I wanted to read that because each week I want to deal with something that has a direct connection with the babies that are being born from young mothers and how they have to cope with the many different challenges that they face throughout the course of the period after giving birth. Because it's not just that a woman has a baby and then that's the end of it. These young women go through challenges that is not often spoken about or people even know about. And many times when they're going through this, it has an effect on how they are able to deal with their babies in that early stages of development. Because although the baby is no longer attached to the mother through the umbilical cord, the mother still feels some kind of attachment to the child because of the fact that she carried this child for 9 months in most of the cases. So there is this feeling of attachment that is still there, but it's also the psychological effect that she has to endure as a result of giving birth to the child. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit before I go into my presentation today. That in many cases, these young women go through things that we may not understand that they're going through as a result of giving birth. These are challenges that they sometimes have to face alone. Even though there's probably family members and other people that they know that have had children and went through the same experiences or similar experiences, no one can really know what that particular mother is enduring and going through during those stages after birth. So I think it is very important that they be given the utmost support, not just from their husband or their partner or the person that they had the baby by, but also that support comes from family members, relatives, and friends. Because at that beginning stage, after they have given birth, That's the beginning stage of them beginning to heal as a result of giving birth. So they have to heal emotionally, psychologically, and physically. That is an ongoing process. So they will need as much support as they can possibly have, because the kind of support that they get will also determine how they treat and deal with their baby. So I think it is very important for people to understand that in itself. Because babies at that stage need all of the mother's support, need all of the mother's attention. So that is a crucial stage of developing for the child. But it's also a crucial stage for the mother, because she begins to now feel what it is to be nurturing another human being. Because she's the only one that can understand and go through that feeling. Because she carried this child for, in most cases, 9 months. So I think that is very important in understanding what the mother is going through after giving birth. Now, I want to make sure that it is understood that each week when I come to do another video, that my focus is on the babies. But it's overall focus on the babies. What affects their nurturing, their education, their development, and their growth as babies. Because that in itself is going to play a major role in how they become as adults and human beings. So I think all of this plays a role because it shapes them in their later years as adults. So last week I dealt with some of those things. Now this week I want to focus on in the particular area of what I read pertaining to postpartum birth, meaning after the woman is giving birth, the different things that she endures and what she goes through. Because oftentimes I see a lot of mothers that are traveling in the streets, and many of them have their babies with them. And I think to myself, what is it that they are going through within themselves, and what stage are they at with nurturing and developing their babies to take them to the next level. Because those are important stages that they're going through with their babies. So that is something that I look at when I see these young mothers with these babies. And when I look at many of the young fathers that I see with their babies, I'm wondering to myself, what kind of stages are they going through? Because that is something that's on the other side that can be told from the perspective of a young father and what he goes through as a result of having a newborn. Now in the future, I'm going to have some brothers come on and explain some of those things, because they know what they was feeling, they know what they was going through as a result of having a newborn for the first time. And then some of them having newborns many times, meaning have more than one. What challenges they face and what was the experiences that they went through as a result of that. I think you always have to have the balance with male and female, man and woman, because that's the only way we can really understand the whole picture of what is taking place and what took place through those stages that they went through. Because there's a lot of things that they have to go through that only they know and experience, and other people would not know that. Because I'm pretty sure that it's different with different couples. So that's why I would want them to speak about that, to give their perspective on what it was like going through those stages, to help other young mothers and fathers to be able to relate to and understand that, and then also those young brothers and sisters that have not yet had any children, so they could get a perspective on some of the things that they may possibly endure or have to deal with as a result of having children. Those are things that I think need to be understood, because oftentimes these are not things that's spoken about. People have to learn it through the experience that they go through themselves. But I think that if we bring a perspective to them about the different challenges and experiences that others have went through, that will give them an idea as to what they may possibly have to endure or deal with as a result of having a newborn. So I think that is very important for them to understand that. Now I want to go into something else, because I'm always going to be focused on dealing with the babies. I want to make sure that it's understood that the website is going to always be focused on the babies. That is something that should always be understood, because when I started this channel, I started it specifically because I wanted to address the babies. That was the reason for starting it, because I had the baby store already online. So now it was time to bring the message. So I said the best way to bring that message was to create a channel. I'm already on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm on all the major social medias. And each week when I do a video, I make sure I put them on the social medias so that anybody that goes to any one of those social medias can be able to view the video if they choose to do so. They don't necessarily have to go to the channel to view the video or go to YouTube to look it up. They can go right to one of those social medias and go to babybeautiful.co and they can view the video. Because each week I want to be able to present something that directly relates to and connect with the babies. Because there's too much that is going on and happening that surrounds the babies, but it's not really being addressed or being dealt with. So I wanted to make sure that any video I did was going to directly be related to and dealing with that. So each week when I decide to do the video, I'm always focused on a particular article that I'm going to use in the beginning before I start going into my presentation for that particular video for that day. Because I want people to look at the website as being more than just selling baby clothes. Although I want you to go to the website, support it, order from it, but I also want you to take away something from the message. If it could help you in any kind of way, educate, nurture, and develop your baby in some shape, form, or fashion. If you can take something from my videos, then do that. Because last week I spoke about when I deal with any video, I bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to each video. So now you have to decide what is beneficial for you to take from it and use it possibly in your own life. You decide if it's something valuable that you can take from it to use it as a means to help you, and in turn pass it to your babies. That is a choice that you have to decide within yourself. But I make the videos available so that you will have them to be able to do that. So each week that I come and decide to do a video, I have all of that in mind when I'm speaking. What kind of impact, what kind of difference that I can bring to make a difference in the lives of young mothers and fathers that are raising their babies today. Because I know that they face many challenges, and that those challenges will determine the strength and quality of them as individuals. Because being a mother and father, that requires a whole lot. And of course, many people that do it every day understand that. Even those that struggle and do their best, and in many cases fail to be the best mother and father that they could be, for whatever reasons, it happens. We know that. Many of us have seen mothers and fathers that was not doing the best job that they could possibly do. And it wasn't because they couldn't do it, or they didn't want to do it. In many cases, they didn't know how to do it. So these are the kind of situations that I think about, and people that I think about whenever I do a video. Because people talk all the time about the problems, but what about the solutions and how we really address it? We have solutions, because you can address something by speaking about it. Okay, that's the beginning stage. But now let's go further than that. What do we do about it? And how do we do what it is that we decide that we need to do? How do we implement it? Because we have ideas that probably could work if they was properly implemented, but if we never take those ideas and put them into practice, that's all there'll ever be, ideas. We will not know the truth and the proof of an idea if it never becomes a reality. We have to take that idea and make it a living reality where it has an impact and make a difference in the lives of people that exist in the society and the world in which we live. If we don't do that, so what? You got good ideas. It's probably hundreds, thousands, even millions of people that got good ideas, so they believe in their own mind. But until we take those ideas and make them a living reality in the society and the world in which we live, that's all there ever be. Just ideas. And no one will really know about it because they are in your head. And no one can read your mind, so we don't know about the ideas that exist in your head. So we have to really be able to take ideas and shape those ideas and mold them so that they can become instruments of change in the lives of others. That's the only way we can know the truth and the proof of those ideas. We can't know that if they never become a living reality in the world that we live. And that is the same thing that is directly connected with the babies. If we have ideas that could help shape a better future for the babies of today so that they can live in the world of tomorrow, then let's do it. Let's not just talk about it. We can talk about it in the beginning because you have to discuss things. You have to bring it to the forefront before you begin to implement it. But in some cases, you don't even need to discuss it. You can just start implementing it. Start doing the things that need to be done. And others will see the proof of what you're doing. Either they will be with you or they'll be against you. Whatever it is, you know that what you're doing is something that is good. So you can't worry about those who may be against you or those who may decide to go with you. You have to start implementing it. And then that will determine whether those ideas are ideas that people will catch on to and will enrich and enhance their life in some way. And in turn, they can use that to pass down to their babies. Now, we have to start realizing that many of the things that we deal with in our own lives either is going to help us or it's going to hurt us. That's even with our associations with other people. Either those associations are good, that it adds to our lives, enrich our life in some way, or they're bad. They take away from our life in some way. So if we see that and we don't do anything about it, we continue to allow people to be around us, or we continue to surround ourselves with people that are bad and take away from our life rather than people that are good and enrich and enhance our life, then it's our own fault. We can't blame somebody else for that. we have to accept responsibility for our own shortcomings and for our own failure to correct things that we knew needed to be corrected. And if that means disassociating yourself from certain kinds of people, then you have to do that. Because the future of your children, your babies, will depend upon the kind of choices and decisions that you make in your life. Because that in turn will have an effect on their life. So when people have babies, they have to think beyond themselves now. Too many times I see young mothers and fathers still trying to keep up with the times. And what I mean by keeping up with the times is they're still trying to party, hang out, do the things that people at their ages are doing. When the reality is that when you become a young mother and father, you have to take on a new way of thinking. You have to start doing things a different way. Because if you continue to do things the same way and continue to think the same way, then you are depriving your child of the kind of guidance, nurturing, and education that they need from their parents in order to grow, develop, and mature into normal functioning human beings. That's why you have so many young brothers and sisters today that they're caught up in all kinds of things. The latest fashions, the styles, the drugs, the street life, the gangs, the alcohol. All of that is as a result of them not being properly educated, nurtured, and developed the proper way. Of course, a lot of this takes time. But being a young mother and father, you owe the obligation, the commitment, and the responsibility to doing that. Because whether you made the choice consciously or unconsciously to have that baby, it doesn't matter. The fact is that the baby is here. So whatever reason, whether it was conscious or unconscious, choice that you made, that is no longer important. What is the most important thing now is you being able to provide the best that you could provide in terms of nurturing, educating, developing your child to be a normal, functioning human being within the society and world in which they will have to exist in. Even if you made bad choices, you can make better choices now with your own child. Of course, all that's going to take time. So I don't focus on the bad choices or poor choices that young mothers and fathers made. That's over with, already done. Let's focus on the things that you can make a difference. And that is in the lives of your children. You can do that by the choices that you make while they are developing and growing in the society and world in which they will have to exist in. You can make the best choices to guide and develop them so that they will be able to make better choices than you made at the time that you was coming up. Those are the most important things that we need to focus on and deal with. Not what you did in the past. That's over with. Whether it was good or bad, it's over with. What you need to focus on now is being the best mother or father that you can possibly be. That requires all of your time, effort, and energy to do that. In all the different stages that you must do it in. See, when I speak about young mothers and fathers, and when I bring a video each week, I want it to be understood that whether you go to the website or you don't go to the website, you can still listen to the message. And you can decide whether you want to take something from it or not. That's your choice. No one can force you to do that. You make that decision on your own. If you do, that would be good. If you don't, well, I'm not going to come to your house and try to force you to do it. No, I don't even know you. Or I don't even know who's going to be looking at the videos. So you definitely need not worry about that. What you need to focus on is it anything of substance? Can I use anything that he's speaking about? If you can, take it and use it. If you choose to do so. If not, disregard it. The choice is yours. But I want to say that, you know, every time I do a video, I'm doing it and thinking about the passion that I have for babies growing up in the world today. Because I come from an era where it was serious and rough. I know because I experienced it. So I'm doing my best to bring the best of my knowledge and experience in hopes that it will have some kind of effect and make some kind of difference with others. So each week when I speak about that, and in addition to that, I think that we need to start focusing on becoming self-sufficient and independent. What I mean by self-sufficient, I'm talking about us being able to sustain ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to be able to do for ourselves. The only way we can do that is if we start looking at all the things that we do in our life and how we can use certain things to create our own businesses and ownership. Because we can't pass down all the clothes and the different products that we buy to our children as some form of inheritance. That's not wealth. So in order to build something to be able to pass down to our children, we have to become self-sufficient and independent. We have to have things that we own. And I'm not talking about material things like clothes and jewelry and even cars. I'm not talking about those. No. Because cars eventually get old. The mileage runs out. They have to be repaired, and so I'm not talking about cars. Because the value of cars drop as time goes on. That's not a valuable asset that you can pass down to your children that they can use to do something with. I'm talking about owning stuff that still is marketable and people will look at it as something that is marketable. I'm talking about owning something that you can still get some kind of value from as a result of people looking at it that is valuable. And the only thing that you can do that with is businesses, owning businesses. I was yesterday dealing with one of my DVDs that one of the brothers made. It's called 7 a.m. And he spoke about black businesses and ownership. Now, we can look at the areas that we live in, because they're not communities, they're just areas that we populate. Communities are something totally different. When you live in a community, that means the economics, the people that live in the community own their houses, the stores, the places of businesses. Those are communities where people have ownership. They have an invested interest in where they live. They're not just areas, they're communities. When you go to Chinatown, you know those are communities. Even when you go to different areas in New York City where you have Hispanics, they basically own the areas. The Jews, they basically own the areas. The Italians, they basically own the areas. So you just have blacks that populate areas. We don't own anything in the areas, we just populate them. We are renters rather than people who actually are owners. We rent everything, but we don't own anything. So when I speak about communities and areas that we just live in, that's the difference. When you go to these places with the Jews, the Italians, the Hispanics, I mean, the Jews, you see that they own these areas. They're not just areas that they live in. They have businesses in those areas. They own their houses, their homes. They don't just live in those areas. They own them. So that's what I'm talking about. The difference between populating areas and living in communities. Because if you live in a community, you have an invested interest in that community. Just as the people that live in the community have an invested interest. Everyone in that community owns some part of that community that makes up the totality of the community. They are the community. And they run, own, and control the community. I don't see that anywhere in New York City when it comes to blacks. So when I started the online baby store, I was thinking about all those things. Because I'm using that as a tree so that we can start producing branches of that tree of ownership, where we begin to own areas that we live in. But we can't start doing that if we don't think in terms of ownership, if we don't think in terms of business, if we always think like a consumer. Someone to consume is to eat up. So we are just people that we are eating up everybody else's products. But we are not producing anything of our own or selling anything of our own so that others can consume our products. That's where it's really at. We need to really focus on where the real thing is at, and that is ownership of businesses. We need to be able to understand that concept. So with the online store selling baby clothes, that is a beginning stage of me branching out into that field. So each week that I make a video is to really bring you up to date on a lot of the things that I'm adding on to the website, and also the message that I'm bringing about saving the babies. But it can't move anywhere if it doesn't have the support that it needs in order for it to be able to grow and expand. It needs people to support it by becoming consumers of it. Of course, we don't have a problem with being consumers because we do it every day. With all the stores that we buy stuff from, we do it every day. Every day. We purchase all kinds of items from different stores, whether we do it online or we do it throughout our travels throughout the day, wherever we going or coming from. We're buying all kinds of items. And we're not paying attention to who owns it, whose store it is. We're not paying attention to that. We just going in there, getting the products we want, and we out. Many times we don't even know who owns these spots. But we know for sure we don't see faces like ours in there. And if we do, in most cases, they're just workers. They're not owners, they're workers. You can look at that as a fact. The average place that you go to and shop and you see a black face in one of those places, they are 99% of the time, they are a worker, not the owner. So don't let that fact escape you. It's even rare that you see them there. Because in most of the places that you go in, you don't even see a black face. Most of the time, you see the people that don't look like you. Now, you can argue the issue, what they are and what they're not, but the reality is that they don't look like you. And in most cases, they own the business. So I'm saying we need to focus on that. And I told you that babybeautiful.co, I want that to be a household name. But that cannot happen if we don't have the support that we need to grow and expand the business. We all can add on to that. I'm confident that it will get the support that it needs to grow and expand, but we need to be mindful every day that we play a role in the growth and expansion of babybeautiful.co. And that is something that is for us. So we have to look at it as more than just an online stores selling baby clothes. That's why I said when you purchase items from babybeautiful.co, you become a part of the family. That's not just a saying that I'm just saying. No, I'm talking about becoming a real family where we take our money and use it for the purpose of building ourselves. Which is a concept that in many cases is foreign to many of us, because oftentimes when we spend our money, we spend it with people that don't look like us and have no interest in us. So, of course, what I'm saying is something that in many cases is foreign. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can begin to use the best of what we know and experience in our own individual lives every day. We see it in all the stores that we go to. That there's no black faces, definitely no black ownership. So we have to start supporting those that do branch out to do that, to make a difference, to start changing the face of how that looks. And I'm one of those people. But I can't do it if the support is not there to do it. We are going to buy products for our babies anyway. Why not buy it at babybeautiful.co? Why not go to the website and buy it there? Why would we choose to do it somewhere else? Because we've been conditioned to shop at other people's places because it's the only thing we know. We don't see stores and places of businesses that are owned by us. Most of the time, it is people that don't look like us and don't care about us. So I'm saying we need to think about that. Just in New York City alone, in all the different neighborhoods and areas that we populate, not communities, that we populate and live in. The average corner store is not us. The average supermarket is not us. Although some of us, on a very small scale, may work there. But none of us own the place. So the evidence is clear. I mean, we see it every day. So this is not something that it takes a lot to figure out. It's a no-brainer. Meaning it requires minimum thought. That's what no-brainer is. It just requires minimum thought. It's clear. You see it every day. So I'm not speaking about something that's foreign. But I am talking about something that we're not used to, which is businesses with faces that look like us. Businesses that we can use to build communities. We can't do that if we don't have the mindset of ownership and being a business person. We have many people that we support, but they don't do anything for us. Even some of the people that you support, that you know, they still don't do anything for you. So I'm saying we have to change that way of thinking. The only way we're going to change that is we have to start with ourselves. Everything always points back to self. Because we talk about other people, but what about ourselves? We need to focus on self. If we be that instrument of change, then that could be the beginning stage to show others how to change. Remember, I spoke about in one of the videos, Mahatma Gandhi saying, we must be the change we wish to see in the world. We must be the change we wish to see in the world. That starts with self. Yeah, we can talk about this and talk about that. I'm speaking about the Jews having communities, Hispanics. I'm speaking about the Koreans, the Chinese, the Japanese. But I'm not just speaking about it. I'm doing something about it. That's why I started babybeautiful.co. So I'm not just coming with a video talking about these people got these communities and that's it. No. I created an online baby store to begin the process of doing what we need to do. Because we can talk about them with the communities all day. But how is that going to change our situation? It's not going to change it. We have to change it. And we have to start somewhere. And I'm saying I've already started. Now I need the support to grow the business and expand it. The only way that I can do that is by you purchasing items from there. Remember, you're going to buy stuff anyway. Why not buy it from there? You're already buying stuff from all these other businesses. And I'm one of the very few. In fact, I've searched the internet and I don't see no online baby store that is owned and created by blacks. I've searched it, I'm the only one. So I've done something, revolutionized an idea. And I'm saying, now I need those who will become potential supporters to support it. And we will be able to take this to the next level. If we want to have communities, if we want to control and own stuff, then we have to be able to start the beginning stage. And that beginning stage is we have to begin to support those who are already starting the process. And then when others start the process, we have to support them too. This is how we build communities. We can't build those communities if we are not showing that we are serious about building them. We have to start off with supporting them. The ones that's already starting the process. Even people that you know that you talk to every day or that you deal with, or family members. Even those people, they supposed to be able to support you because they're going to buy products anyway. Why not support the products that are black owned and coming from your own people? You're going to buy it anyway. It's not like you're going out your way to buy something that you would have never bought anyway. You're not doing that. You're going to do it anyway. You spend money all the time. As a black community, we spend $1 trillion a year. I didn't say a million. I didn't say a billion. $1 trillion a year. Trillion. That is an economy of a lot of money. But where is it going? We don't have it. We poor. But those who are enriching themselves are the ones that we're giving it to for their products. So that's all the people that I spoke about. The Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, the Hispanics, the Italians, all of these people, they are reaping the benefits of that $1 trillion. It's our money. But the way we spend it, it makes us poor. Being poor is not that you don't have any money. Being poor is the way you spend your money. Because you have people that, they don't live in the best conditions, but the way they spend their money, they make the best out of the conditions in which they live. Let me say that again. You have people that they don't spend their money like we spend ours. So let me say, they don't live in the best conditions, but they spend their money the best way that they can in the conditions in which they live. So in that sense, they take their money and they use it so that it will be able to benefit them, not to benefit others. And with us, we don't do that. So I'm saying we need to start looking at all of that, because we can make a difference with the finances that we have with ourselves, not just enriching other people that don't care about us or look like us, but they will gladly accept our money because we enriching them. We helping them build communities, send their children to the best universities and colleges, buy them the best homes with their own property. They can travel each year, vacations, buy the best of things. We helping them do that by always giving them our money. So we need to start looking at that and start using the best of what we know and experience living in these areas to do that with ourselves. So with that, I'm going to say peace. And next week, I will be doing another video